Hello everyone, welcome to Behind Beloit. I'm your host Brian Morello. This is a weekly talk show. It's an opportunity to slow down, ask questions, and introduce people and systems that make Beloit tick. Today I'm joined by Nick Dimassis. He's the library director for the Beloit Public Library, and he's been doing his work since 2014. Welcome, Nick.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks.
Thrilled to have you here. Let's talk a little bit about the library, but first of all, yourself. When did you first get interested in library science, and how did that all become a thing for you?
Okay. So the short version is I just thought that librarians came with the shelving, and I had no idea. So I had used libraries before, and then I was going off trying different things. And then after I got married, I had been collecting books so often that my wife thought, why don't you look into becoming a librarian? And I think she thought it was like being a baker, where if you're around it all day, then you wouldn't want to bring it home. So I looked into it, and then went to graduate school, and kind of went from there. And loved it ever since.
That's excellent. So let's get a sense of the big picture of the day to day. What's your role like day to day? I know you're community facing, but there's obviously a lot of behind the scenes things. What's a day in the life of a librarian director?
Yeah. It varies by director, number one. So
Okay.
the library community is relatively small, so you know everybody in the state of Wisconsin. Sometimes that can stretch nationally. So you know that everyone has a different personality. Everyone kind of got into libraries differently, as your question asked there at the beginning. And so it's kind of what you make it, but it should also reflect the community. And here in Beloit, one of the things that attracted me here is that this was a city that was really moving forward. And there was a lot of energy behind anyone that wanted to sit at the table and move the city forward. So for me, I saw that as an opportunity as a library director, as an opportunity for the library to be at the table and be a part of that. So like you said, always out there, really facing the community in that. And then as the behind the scenes things, you have to have a great team in place so that all that is happening as well.
Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about staff later. So when was the library up at the Eclipse Center put together?
2009, it opened up
Okay.
there at the Eclipse Center, and prior to that, it was downtown here since 1972.
Right.
And when it moved into the post office, and prior, it had a Carnegie Library.
Right. So most people think of books, obviously, when they think of the library, but there's a lot to the operations. Talk a little bit about the building, the technology, behind the scenes stuff.
Sure. So as you said, with moving up there in a former mall, it's a former JCPenney's.
Right.
So it really was a unique opportunity for a public library in a city of this size. Very wisely, they left probably 20,000 square feet unfinished, and that has allowed the library to change, evolve, and grow as the needs of the community have changed. So what we do is we still have lots of books. That's vital to libraries, and it's vital to learning. We're finding more and more that that's coming back around. We've gotten a bit away from the sitting with a physical book, kids reading, and early literacy. But there's so much else going on there, and especially when it comes to some of the digital resources and that. But really, the growth areas for libraries are spaces. And that's not only for our own programs, but providing spaces for the community, and then programs themselves. People want that social interaction. So when you walk in the library, you still see the shelves, but you're just seeing people doing a lot of different things, and a lot of interaction and a lot of programming.
And what are some of the programmatic pieces that you're particularly proud of?
Yeah. Well, right now we're working on Discovery Place, and that is we were doubling the size of our children's area to double down on early brain development and early literacy. So from 6,000 square feet to 12,000, just to give numbers only because that's pretty significant. It's not a corner of the library and we're doubling it. It's really going heavy into that. So we're proud of that. We're proud of the cafe that was a partnership with the high school, hospitality program. We're proud of a lot of the other partnerships that we formed with Black Hawk Technical College, Department of Workforce Development. We now have their expertise in our computer lab to help those needing to connect with those resources. We have food share employment and training, forward services, where their clients come in, get the resources that they offer, but then also see all this other stuff at the library. And then we can connect with them as well. So I think it's the partnerships in particular that I'm proud of.
Nice. And how has technology changed, or what are you seeing with how people are using technology, or how important is that to the mix?
It remained just like books. The connection to other resources is extremely important. So it's across the board. Some people are coming in to look for a job. Some people are coming in for unemployment insurance to be able to file for that. Some people are learning, I got to have an email, and we show them how to get an email. It can be from that basic all the way up to more sophisticated kind of technologies. I mean, we have robotics clubs and all those kinds of things happening.
So a lot of learning, but a lot of practical applications as well.
Very much so,
yeah. So it's always following the money. You got a budget. You're a public institution.
Right.
Talk to me a little bit about where your budget comes from, how you manage it. What are some of the key elements?
Right. So almost all the budget comes from the municipality. And then we would stretch that and say, if you're a township, the town of Beloit, they don't have a library, they don't need a library, but if they want to use the adjoining, either it's Beloit or Janesville or Milton, then there's calculations that happen behind the scene when they check things out, and then the township or the county will contribute to our budget on that as well. That's the majority. There are a few things like overdue fines; those are getting fewer and fewer.
Right.
Printing costs just to cover it, but the majority of the money comes from the municipality.
So our viewers might not know it then. So that you are part of municipal government. You report through, and your boss is the city manager?
So that's a very good question. So one of the things that libraries in the state of Wisconsin are semi-autonomous. And so by statute, the library director reports to the library board. So one of the I think a really neat check and balance is once the city gives, say, the simplified version is once the city cuts a check for the budget, then it's hands off, but we have to come back around next year and ask for another check. So that keeps should keep the relationship strong, and certainly in my tenure here, through 3 city managers coming up on a 4th, they just have really valued the library, and I think we've worked really well together.
So talk a little bit about your board. How many members? How does that made up? How often does it turn over? Term limits? What do they have? What is it like?
So it's 3-year terms, and you can get a second term, so you can have up to 6. If you come in at the end of someone leaves and you come in, you can tack on those years as well. So potentially you could have up to 9 years on the library board, and and we've had that because it is such a great. It's a great board. They get along really well together. It's a great organization. People, as you asked me about what I'm proud of, I think the library board members also find themselves very proud of the things that the library accomplishes. 9 board members.
9.
And the way they get on is you have to live within the city, although we do make an exception for an adjoining township. But otherwise, they live within the city, and you sign up for it the way that you would another committee in the city, and then it goes through the approval process that way.
How often do you meet, and what are their responsibilities?
We meet once, or the library board meets once a month.
Okay.
And the most important library boards have 3 responsibilities. It's policies, it's the budget, and then it's hiring and evaluating the director. What's nice about the library, again, is we recommend the policies to the board. So we've done a lot of that thinking, recommended to the board. The budget, we have a finance director, so the budget, it's not something a board has to do, just oversight, and then the library director.
So what are some of the key policy deliberations other than budget? Utilization, or what are some of the
Yeah,
key
I kind of
things?
break it down, and it's probably from my restaurant, years of working in restaurants, is there's front of the house and back of the house. And front of the house are those policies that deal with the people coming through the door. So the public, whether community or whomever, right? And then the back of the house is the stuff that, people don't really see, but it affects the operation, but it's mostly us, staff related. So we bring both of those to the board, and my leadership team first knocks around if a policy should be either created or changed, talk it over with the staff, and then we present that. I guess it covers everything, and every now and then something will pop up, and if it pops up, it usually reflects what's going on in the community. If there are sort of social service kinds of issues happening within the community, then we have to also look at, now we have to deal with, are people bringing in too many bags into the library and kind of spreading out and that kind of thing. So then that may be fine, but how does it affect other users? And then those are the kinds of things that can get a little trickier, and you just have to be really sensitive about and not go in one way or another.
So the board, we're talking about the policy and the directives of 40,000 feet view down into the library, but you also have a staff, and that's a key component. Tell us a little bit about the staff. What's the makeup? How do you organize things? What are kind of the key roles that your staff play? How does that all work together? How should we think about the team?
So a few years back, we changed our organizational structure and try to get rid of as much of the departmental siloing, and even change it through the titles of the positions and those kinds of things, really flatten the organization. We went from, I think it was about 30 to about 24 employees, and I think we've improved our customer service as a result. We've certainly gotten more efficient and all that. So what we have is we have a library director, then we have a leadership team, and then we have all the staff. So the communication is there. It doesn't take, there's not a lot of hierarchy, chain of command, and that kind of thing. So what we do when we hire for staff in particular is really focusing on that front of the house, customer service. What do people feel like when they walk through the door? The physical space, we've gotten rid of some things like metal detectors and all that to try to make it more welcoming, and then we've really focused on when you hire, you're hiring for personality, you're hiring for customer service, because a lot of the technical things that are needed in libraries today can be learned, can be taught, can be trained.
Yeah.
But you can't, it's hard to train someone that doesn't want to talk to a kid or talk to someone walking through the door.
So when you think about customer service, what's the biggest thing that prevents people from coming into the library? What are the obstacles that the staff can help create a more welcoming environment?
Yeah,
something that people want to use.
Yeah, I would say two things. One, again, is just that personality. It's kind of cliche to say smile, but if you say smile, you guys smile,
yeah.
and there's just a revulsion of that, then you're not on the right track.
Yeah.
A rolling of the eyes can be okay because we've heard this before. Yeah, smile, right, and those kinds of things. So I think the personality of it, but then also having the skill, the confidence with the things that we do offer. So if it is about ebooks. Mm-hmm. If someone comes in and says, I just got this phone and I'm told you have ebooks, how do we make that work? And staff scatter because they themselves don't know how to do that or are confident and don't want to look like they don't know how to do it. That's just bad customer service, but then that falls on us in terms of training and all that. So I think the welcoming environment really is that when people walk through the door that they can just tell that we're ready to help them in any way that they need.
But of course, shushing never goes out of style.
Shushing never goes. Actually, shushing. We are not a quiet library, and we've been working hard to not be a quiet library. However, you do want to create spaces where those that really need, and sometimes I need quiet, right? So I can go up to my office. So why shouldn't others have that in the public space? And so we do have some study rooms and some other areas and things like that. We just added 6 new classrooms upstairs so people can meet up there and those kinds of things. But yeah, shushing by and large is not something we do. Behavior, however, we do focus on, and whether or not it's disturbing or disruptive.
Sure. So that leads us to community. Public libraries are obviously first and foremost for the community, but who are some of your partners that help make up the backbone of the library and provide support, services, utilization of the library? Who are some of these community partners that use the library and or work with you inside the building?
Right. So I mentioned a couple, like some of those government in particular, we like to partner with the government agencies or nonprofits that provide services to our visitors as well as their clients. State Line Literacy Council is a great example of that. They provide ESL, they provide citizenship classes, they provide GED in Spanish. And so when they're coming in to the back of the library to take their classes, they're seeing everything else that we have. Those are adults, but then they bring their kids and are in the kids area and that kind of thing. So there's got to be that kind of connection. Department of Workforce Development, same thing, and some of the others with services. And we also have some nonprofits associated with the library, like the Friends group, Friends at Beloit Library, Fable, and they're a nonprofit group that pretty much they resell books that we either discarded or got donated, and then they give that money back to the library, and that's actually, I mean, that's vital for for programming and that. And then we have a library foundation. I mentioned Discovery Place. They lead those kinds of efforts. Large, we're just over $4 million now in our private fundraising campaign, and they lead in that area. One of the things about libraries and the partnerships that we have and the fundraising and that is unique to city departments is you're not going to really be able to go out and fundraise for a salt shed. So Public Works can't really, people just don't want to give to that. So we take that, we take that as an obligation and take it seriously that we can go out and be a conduit for private fundraising and seeing their library, lifted, beyond the margins of excellence.
So you're creating a welcoming environment. It's for the entire community. If you had to make your pitch to some folks or groups that really don't use it that could benefit from the library more, what's your pitch, and how would you encourage people to come in, and what are some things that maybe the library could provide for people that they've kind of forgotten about or maybe never knew about in the first place, that the citizens aren't using it to its full advantage?
Yeah, that's great. I'd like to say that we provide everything that's needed, and but again, if you have your ear to the community, you find things that are changing right now, really going heavy into that early brain development. That's where the community's at. That's what's happening in the schools and everything else. But I think that Beloit's been kind of interesting. Some cities, I say, are very literary towns, and they have that culture of reading. Maybe it's a leisure kind of attitude of I can go listen to an author, and that's okay, to go and do that. It's okay to read a book and just take time to do that. I think Beloit, as historically as a blue collar town, doesn't quite have that or allowed itself to do that. I think it may be changing a little bit, because when you have a big name author, sometimes there's 6 people there, and that kind of thing. So I think what I would like to see people to do a little bit more is maybe some of those book clubs, maybe some of those kinds of gatherings, coming out to get some of that cultural kinds of just enjoyments, aspirations, and those kinds of things. Because we're very practical, I think, as you said at the beginning. And so the library gets used for a lot of the stuff that can benefit you in the moment, but there's some of that long-term benefit that also just builds a community that I would like to see more of.
Yeah, I mean, we're still a small town, but have so many resources and interesting and exciting people, and it seems like the library would be an obvious kind of centerpiece or hub where people could just casually and informally get together and meet and talk about the day's events and things, but you have to show up to be able to do that.
Right.
Talk about the intersection of Beloit College, since that's another key feature of Beloit and an element that a lot of small towns don't have. I think of Roy Chapman Andrews Society or the Civics Academy, things like that. How does the college and the library interact, and what are some things that happen between Beloit College and the public library?
So having a college like Beloit College, and especially a major college like Beloit College, and with a great reputation and a long reputation of what it provides and the kind of liberal arts college. I said we have some partnerships with both UROC, We have partnership with Black Hawk Technical College and others. But there's something unique about having such a strong liberal arts college in the community. A community this size, we're only a mile apart. So we do a lot of partnering. Students come in, and there's always, I would say, always at least one intern through one of your programs or through one of the college's programs, coming and taking advantage of the library, whether it's shadowing or providing services or whatever it might be. They're coming to learn through and with the library. And then Civics Academy, I mean, just having, whether it's faculty, current faculty in administration, or whether it's emerita, faculty that still want to stay involved. The SLU is something that always keeps people involved, and we've held some of their.
What's
that's the Society for Learning Unlimited, and they have a catalog, and that came out of Beloit College some years back. So there is always something there that's kind of boiling, that keeps us all connected.
Well, Nick, thank you. Tremendous resource and a catalyst for learning and engagement and community involvement. We appreciate you coming on the show today.
Oh, thanks a lot, Brian.
Yeah.
It was a pleasure.
Enjoy it. Stay with us. Mac Reed from the Beloit men's hockey team. Stay tuned. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. Our guest today is Mac Reed. Mac is a member of the Beloit College men's hockey team. He's been playing hockey for 20 years, but this is his first year donning the Beloit Navy and Gold. Welcome, Mac. Glad to have you on the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Really happy to be here.
Yeah, we're psyched to have you as well. Take us back to the beginning. When did you start playing hockey, and when was the origin story?
Yeah, so kind of been on skates ever since I was, at birth, basically. My dad, he played for the Wisconsin Badgers back in the day, and a lot of you guys out there probably know who Mark Johnson is, so he played with him. They won a national championship in '77, so big hockey family, and all the brothers, his brothers did as well. So, yeah, he kind of got me on skates ever since I was a little guy and been playing ever since.
And where's home for you?
Waunakee, Wisconsin. It's like
Madison area.
Yeah, it's like 20 minutes outside, basically.
Great. So, what was your experience at Northland? You transferred to Beloit from Northland.
Right.
What was your experience like on and off the ice? What did you learn there? What do you carry with you from the Northland days?
I absolutely love Ashland. It's a gorgeous place. If you can get up there, you should, especially in the fall. Lake Superior is so cool, and I think I had a lot of really good experiences just with nature. That's a funny thing for a hockey guy to say, probably. But just, getting into that first year of college and whatnot and kind of getting into the swing of things, I think that's what I'll always take away. And it holds a very special place in my heart that I, got to meet the people that I did and have the experiences that I did up there. So it's just really special to me, all that time that I spent.
Yeah, Upper Wisconsin's really beautiful. So then you have the Northland closing, and you've got to transfer. Was Beloit a clear-cut decision, or were you looking at other places?
So part of my decision is playing junior hockey, had been to the East Coast. I'd gone to Massachusetts, and then I had also lived in Vancouver Island. So I'd kind of been all over the place, and obviously born and raised Madison. I kind of realized, hey, I really want to be back home. I love Wisconsin. I think it's a great place. And so when I heard that our program would probably be coming to Beloit, for me, it was a no-brainer. I mean, obviously once I vetted the school and everything and, kind of made sure that it was up to date with my academic standards and that type of stuff, I was just like that right away.
So how has the transition been compared to your expectations academically, socially, the hockey program? How's it going?
Yeah, I mean, so far, so good, pretty much. I think it's definitely been a challenge. It's been a good challenge, though. There were certain times at Northland I didn't really feel like I was always challenged, but I think a lot of my professors here have really spurred me and pushed me to be a better person, and work on things that are not just inside of class, but also habits that really would translate to the real world. And then obviously from that aspect too, there's the social part, and it is a bigger campus. There's much more people, and I think it's a bigger town as well too. So that has also been, kind of a plus as well for me.
What are you studying? Have you declared a major or anything?
Yeah, I'd actually, the day that the finance major came out, I declared right away. So.
Okay, new School of Business at Beloit College. How would you, think about being a hockey player? What do you think are the most important qualities for succeeding at the D3 level? What do you do to develop those? I mean, what's it like playing at the D3 level?
I'm not gonna lie, it's tough. I'll be honest. I think there's a lot of grit that comes with it. You got to be willing to sacrifice. I mean, great example is our practices this year. They were at 6 a.m, in Janesville. So it's like you got to be able to be willing and able to wake up early. And I think the biggest thing is just the discipline of day in, day out, and making yourself and your teammates better. One thing that we always say, and our Coach Buckley says, is we have to be the best team that we play against every day, right? So whether that be in practice, whether it be in the weight room, that type of stuff, I think is just, iron sharpens iron. That's kind of what you got to be. So.
Yeah, I mean, to ring the bell at 6 a.m. for practice means you got to really love it.
Yep, and that I do. That's why I'm still here playing.
So what's standing out to you about the Beloit hockey program and your teammates and the culture? How would you describe what's going on around here?
Yeah, I feel there's a lot of, I guess the word would be love. It comes from a place of support. I think that there's a ton of people that have really helped us get to where we are, massive donations that have been we are so grateful for. And then obviously being able to play out of the Woodman Center, which is a really nice facility. And then, it goes all the way down to just the people that show up from the college to support us in the games. Because, I mean, it's a 25-minute drive, it's not something that is taken lightly. And I think that the support that we have had in this first year, I have been so grateful for. I think everybody has done such a great job with that.
When I watch you guys and I see other hockey programs compared to other athletic programs, it seems like the bonding and the close-knit nature of these teams. And how would you describe the culture, hockey in general versus other sports maybe, but more specifically, I mean, what's the culture like amongst you guys?
I kind of would say it's akin to being warriors together. I think what's different from other sports is that there are positions, but hockey is controlled chaos, right? All the time you're making split-second decisions and things are going on super fast, and you have to be able to learn how to navigate that. And a big part of navigating that is trust in your teammates. If you don't trust that your teammate could, be where he's supposed to be, because a lot of it's intuition, you just know that this is where that guy's supposed to be, and it's a lot of trust, And then obviously the other part of it is, as everybody knows, there's the fights and the scuffles and all that type of stuff. So I think that the willingness and the culture to stick up for your teammates in that type of stuff, it just brings you closer together, You get cross-checked in the back and your teammate steps in right away, you're going to be like, you know what, that was really cool of that guy. I think it really brings you tighter.
And what position do you play? What's your role on the team?
I play defense. Obviously, I'm not the biggest guy. Could be a little bigger, but I tend to focus on ways that I can move the puck into a better position. So kind of my job is, if the puck gets dumped into our zone, making sure that puck gets out every single time. I try to play the best defense that I can, because that's a given. You have to do that. But I think a huge part of hockey is, can you move a puck to where it needs to be at the right time, And that's a really hard thing to do. So.
Yeah. So obviously you had a lot of family background in the hockey and very successful collegiate hockey. Other than your dad, I mean, who were some of your hockey role models growing up?
Hockey role models, I would say. So growing up, I was a huge Pittsburgh Penguins fan, actually, as most kids were. So Sidney Crosby, right away, he comes to mind. But when I was young, actually, I didn't play defense. I played forward. I love to score. I love to be up in the play and all that type of stuff. But recently, it's been Cale Makar. He has completely revolutionized the game of defense. In the NHL, he's completely taken the game from being, more defensive minded to the defensemen get in the offense a lot more now, and I love that a lot. Like, that's cool for me to see.
Nice. So, being at a D3 level, you're a student athlete.
Mm-hmm.
How are you managing the demands of being a student athlete? How's it going? How do you kind of tackle the demands on your time and the academic discipline and all the practices and schedules? How's that going?
Yeah, I mean, I'll be honest with you, it's not easy, and it's something that I have struggled with personally is time management. I've always been bad at that and organization, and one thing that I've really worked on heavily recently is journaling and making sure to write things down and keeping a list of things that need to get done, because if I don't see it in front of me, it's probably not going to happen.
Right.
I'm just being honest. And so if I have that list, and it's like right when I walk back into my dorm room and it's right there, it's like, make sure you go get your laundry, maybe something simple like that. That I think helps keep me on track is writing things down. And then especially another thing is basically seeing what you want your vision to be of your life. Sitting down for 15 to 20 minutes and saying, okay, in 5 years, where do I want to be? What can I do to make that happen? And I think once you get that vision in your head of, hey, this is what I want to do, the how you get there kind of all starts to fall into place, if that makes any sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. I mean, I think we see, human happiness is surrounded by people who are good at setting goals. They build their skills around that so that they can achieve those goals, and then they throw all their energy into it. And if you put all three of those together, I mean, you're going to make a lot happen. And so if that's the case, then for Mac Reed, what's your big goal? What's your future look like? What are some things that you'd like to shoot for?
Yeah, that's a good question. My main goal in life is I want to get to the point where I have enough freedom and time, energy, whatever, to give back to people. That's really what I want to do, and whatever that means, whether that be on the ice, coaching, the little guys, which I love to do, whether that be, cracking the right joke at the right time, that type of stuff. I really enjoy giving back and making people be like, you know what, maybe I wasn't having the best day today, but because Mac is here in my life, he made me feel better, and that makes all the difference. That's what I want to be.
That's awesome. Sound like a good teammate, Mac. Well, thanks for being here, Mac. We have Mac Reed from the Beloit College men's hockey team as our guest today. Pleasure having you, Mac. Good luck in the next season, and go Bucks.
Sweet. Go Bucks. Thanks, guys.